Average Joe stays broke because he thinks that the primary purpose of money, like he thinks the way you get rich, is cash accumulation. And so because, this is, by the way, this is what they taught us to do. Think about it. When you first started learning about money, what did they teach you to do with money? Come on, talk to me, somebody. Save it. You save it. So you save money. And by the way, rich people know that saving money is not a good idea. Right? You don't, saving money, when you're saving money, you're saving something that's becoming worth less over time. If nothing hits it but inflation, is becoming worth less over time, right? So you think of it as I want to have this big pool of money that I can go back and keep looking at, and as long as it's getting bigger, I'm getting richer. Well, I mean, that's okay, but it's better if you're not doing that. Okay? So, but what if, instead of you viewing money as a pool to be viewed, instead of envisioning wealth as a big pool of money to be viewed, what if you looked at it as a tool to be used? So this is cash accumulation, right? And that's what most people think is wealth. But I submit to you, I would rather, I'm sure y'all can guess what that is. Lazy River. You're funny. Lazy River. See, there's one in every crowd, and today Ryan is both of them. Okay. So, this is cash flow. Cash flow is infinitely more important than cash accumulation. I would rather have like massive cash flow and small cash accumulation, or none, than massive cash accumulation, no cash flow, or small cash flow. I would rather have massive cash flow. Now, if I could, this is such a cool concept. It's a cool concept because when you think about bodies of water, right? Or when I think about bodies of water, I think about a couple of different types of bodies of water. So we went to Israel a couple of times. I think we went in 2019. We went again in 2020, right? So one of the coolest things is when we went to Israel is like towards the end of our trip, we went down to the Dead Sea. And we stayed in, we didn't stay in the David Hotel the first time. We stayed in the David Hotel the second. I don't remember the hotel we stayed in. But what's really cool is when you stay at the Dead Sea, a lot of the hotels there, they have water that they pipe in from the Dead Sea into their pool, in their indoor pool. And it's like a flotation tank, right? So you can get in the swimming pool, and it's not a swimming pool. You can get in this floating pool, and you float. And when you get out, you just feel so invigorated from all the minerals. Okay, but nothing can live in the Dead Sea. Why it's interesting. So the Dead Sea in Israel is at the south. The sea at the north is the Sea of what? The Sea of Galilee. And there's a river that connects them. What's the river? The Jordan River. Okay, stuff lives in the Sea of Galilee. We know that because the apostles were fishing in the Sea of Galilee, right? Stuff can live in the Jordan River, but nothing can live in the Dead Sea. Isn't that fascinating? Or am I just easily fascinated? Okay, probably a little bit of both. Okay, so why can't things live in the Dead Sea? Because the Dead Sea has inlets but no outlets. And that's why it's the Dead Sea. And I promise you, if your money has inlets and no outlets, your money is going to turn into a Dead Sea of cash accumulation. And I know a lot of people who have big cash accumulation, small cash flow, and they struggle financially. Why? Because all their money's tied up in a retirement account, or all their money's tied up for future use where they might or might not live long enough to use it. So cash flow is more valuable than cash accumulation. And if you can get cash flow and cash accumulation, that's better. But if I can figure out how to have my cash keep flowing long after I'm gone, like I'm gone, eventually, one of the things we all have in common is we're going to die. Either you're going to come to my funeral or I'm going to come to yours. Or you're going to find out about my funeral or I'm going to find out about yours, right? That's how it works. Like you just live long enough, everybody that you know, either you're going to their funeral or they're coming to yours, right? But at least they're going to find out about it. Okay. Well, long after I'm gone, my objective is to have cash perpetuation. And my cash perpetuation is going to be determined by what I do with the cash flow and the cash accumulation while I'm still here. Because, without going into great detail, because I don't have time, definitely don't have time, without going into great detail, legacy wealth is not an amount of money. We're going to create generational wealth. Generational wealth is not an amount of money. There have been plenty of families who've accumulated a bunch of money, and in less than 2 generations, it was all wiped out. Like millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Just gone in 2 generations. Why? Because generational wealth is not an amount. Generational wealth is a system of cash perpetuation, where cash perpetuates and your cash flow perpetuates after you die. And you can, like all of us can set that up. How? Well, one, by having assets that income can follow. And the assets that income can follow while we're alive, and assets that income can follow even after we're gone. So I think about the fact that, I've self-published these books. When I'm gone, my family still has access to the funnel, the books. That cash flow keeps coming in. Why? Because it wasn't determined by something that I do every day. It's something that my cash flow from those assets is determined by something I did one day, not by something I do every day, right? And when I say one day, I mean a group of days, right? I've done it one time. But also, we can use life insurance for cash perpetuation. So I learned this concept from a guy named Garrett Gunderson. Garrett Gunderson wrote a book called What Would Billionaires Do? He wrote a bunch of books, Killing Sacred Cows. I don't know if any of you have ever read any of his books. But, I didn't learn it from him because I learned about life insurance back in the 80s, probably before Garrett Gunderson was born. But the concept that I'm talking about right now. Wealthy families that perpetuate wealth, one of the things that they do is they use life insurance for wealth perpetuation. For a couple of reasons. One, the death benefit of life insurance is not taxable, right? And so being insured, making sure you have life insurance on yourself and, hear me now, everyone in your family. Did I say that too fast? Making sure but I thought life insurance was income replacement insurance. That's one of the things it does. But you don't have to, but if you're serious and not just curious about creating wealth, one of the things that you would desire to do if you knew to desire to do it is to have life insurance on everybody in your family because you already know everybody in your family is going to die. That's not what we want to think about. So we think if we don't buy any life insurance, we don't think about it, then maybe they won't die. They're going to die anyway. So think about it. Get life insurance on yourself, get life insurance on your children, get life insurance on your spouse, and significant life insurance. It's worth it. I don't sell life insurance, so nobody can accuse me of trying to make a sale. I don't sell life insurance. But I bought tons. Why? Because I want my wealth to perpetuate. What people don't realize is how someone in your immediate family dying affects you. They don't realize it until it happens. They don't realize how surreal it is, how energy draining it is, how distracting it is, how confusing it is, how surreal it is. And they feel like, well, if somebody dies, I'll just go back to work and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's what you think you'll do because you haven't experienced it yet. You don't understand. You cannot conceive the level of distraction and the level of anguish that comes with that. And so having life insurance gives you the ability to step back from a minute. Now maybe going back to work is something that will be beneficial to you, but it depends on who you are, maybe not. But wouldn't you rather have the choice, right? And while your children don't provide income, generally, right, they do provide a sense of significance and responsibility and purpose. And if one of your children dies, you're not I don't want to profit off my family's death. Okay. Right. I get that. So, but you don't want to necessarily have to go back to work when your family needs you to be there with them to support them because your family member died, their family member died also. And if you're the strong one, they need you. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes, sir.
Like, there are guys that have, like if you're a married man and you have a wife and children and you don't have life insurance, shame on you. You don't have, I shouldn't say shame on you, but do something about it. Like, if you don't have life insurance because I don't want my wife to have all this money and then she goes marry somebody else, blah, 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 and then this dude's doing more money. Okay, right. But you want her to have to go find somebody else because you didn't take care of her. Did I come out swinging too hard? Right. Well, my wife doesn't generate any money, so I don't need life insurance on her. Right. So you're going to leave your children at home and go back to work when their mom dies because you can't stay home with them and encourage them and strengthen them and bless them with your presence in the hardest time in their life because you didn't have enough foresight to have life insurance. All I'm saying is let's stop pretending that we're not going to die. And let's act like the clock is ticking and we're all expiring. And if you will set up your life where you prioritize this as step one, this is step one, this is step two, and this is step three, then you can create generational wealth. This is Wealth Building 101. Let me say this, though, and I'll talk more about this in another video. How much cash flow you create, how much money you accumulate doesn't determine how wealthy you are. Like, wealth is not money. I did a whole video on this already. I forgot about that. I did a whole video on this already called Wealth is Not Money. Or Money is Not Wealth. Money is not wealth. What is wealth? Wealth is your ability. Whose ability? Everybody tap yourself on the chest. Say, my ability. Wealth is your ability to create value for someone other than yourself. That's wealth. And when you can create value for someone other than yourself, you're wealthy. And when you can't create value for someone other than yourself, you're not wealthy. So this is my Wealth Building 101 video. Hopefully it'll help you in some way, shape, or form to make a decision to increase your cash flow and your and prepare your cash perpetuation. So eventually, when you accumulate a bunch of cash, it's not flushed down. So, by the way, let me say this. When I talk about cash perpetuation, it's not enough just to have life insurance and just to have assets. You have to raise up children who you teach to be financially literate, who understand these principles, so that when you die, they don't decimate the wealth, they perpetuate the wealth.